Okay, hello and a very good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Chris and I'm one of the Shortcuts educators. And joining me on the questions today, answering the question today, I should say, we have Amy. So if you do have any questions, feel
Good
free.
morning.
Hello. Feel free to unmute yourselves if you want to. Speak to myself, speak to Amy. If not, if you do feel more confident popping them in the chat box, that is not a problem. The lovely Amy will be taking care of those. So today, of course, we are running through our cloud features. Now that is going to be the cloud appointment book as an entity itself, as well as cloud marketing. Now, for those of you that are slightly familiar with our cloud features, you will also know it features some of our top Fusion reports. Those reports we will be running through next week, okay? We're going to be doing a reporting masterclass and webinar next week. So if you're not joined up for that, look out for the emails or let us know and we can get you registered for that ASAP. Okay, so of course, I know we've got a lot of familiar faces, so it's always lovely to have you on board, but of course we do have some new attendees to our masterclass today. So first things first, the duration of this webinar will be approximately 60 minutes. It might be a little bit less, it might be a little bit more, just depending on how many of those questions we get. But I'm always trying to keep it in within an hour, just in case you're attending during your working hours or in between appointments and things like that. And of course, my microphone is switched on, whereas everyone else has automatically been muted. But feel free to unmute yourselves if you want to chat to us, if you want to join in. I always say make it interactive, do chat with us, do speak to us. That's perfectly fine. And of course, your speakers must be turned on to hear this webinar. So everyone just take a few minutes now, get yourselves nice and comfortable, get the speakers turned up nice and loud just so you can hear me. And as I said, questions will be taken during or at the end of the webinar using the chat box. Like I said, if you want to chat to us, feel free to. Okay, so today we will learn why you should be using the cloud appointment book first and foremost, how we can then use this and translate it into a cloud upsell, and of course we're going to round it off with our cloud-based marketing. Now both of these features are absolutely fantastic, and the beauty of it is they are really, really simple to use. They're so easy to get your hands on. You'll notice cloud appointment can be set up in just a couple of minutes. You know, you can have all your great Fusion features on there. Can you be using marketing, get some fantastic campaigns set up in less than 10 minutes? Okay, so let's take a look at the cloud appointment book. So what is it? It's a fully functioning mobile appointment book that you can use anytime, anywhere. Now, of course, in this day and age, ladies and gents, we are all super duper busy. We are on the move. So we need to be able to keep track of our appointments, make appointments, check our color notes, check our visit notes. So we can view those upcoming appointments. We can make new appointments, access client records, and add those all important tasks in. It's the best features from your Shortcuts Fusion appointment book in the cloud. And of course, all you need for this is an internet connection. So this means it can be on a mobile phone, it can be on a laptop, it can be on a tablet, anything with an internet connection. And you're going to see in just a couple of minutes how easy it is to set this up and get your staff using it. So what's so great about it then? So here's why you need it in your life. Work with a flexibility that suits you, your business and lifestyle. It allows you to achieve a little bit more mobility in the salon because it gives an extension of that reception desk. So we don't need to be going to the front of house reception desk to grab our color notes, our client alerts, our visit notes. You can rebook the client's next appointment while they're still lounging in the chair. So you don't have to worry about doing it at the reception desk. You can rebook that client where they're comfortable. You can discuss products. You can discuss extra services. Because of course, we know what it's like. When that client gets to that reception desk, they're already thinking about leaving. They're on their way out the door. Let's do it and add that extra level of service while that client is lounging in the appointment chair or in the beauty room or anything like that. You can check client history by their side and update their details from the privacy of a treatment room. So if there's anything we need to discuss, we can do it all in the treatment room. We don't need to be doing it at the main reception desk. And of course, ultimately, which is one thing we always strive for, it helps you provide an even more personalized and attentive guest experience. Now, if you're on my webinar yesterday where we were talking about related and recommended services, you know we are all about that. adding that more attentive and more personalized guest experience and service. So the cloud upsell then, so how will this work? So the main beauty of this is you can add those products and services to the point of sale screen from the convenience of your tablet or smartphone. We have loads and loads of salons using this. We've got some salons that have 8 or 9 beauty rooms, beauty pods. They're discussing products, adding those extra services on, and it's all ready to go at the front of house desk. So when that client is ready to check out, nothing else needs to be added on. It's a seamless checkout experience. Service providers can create a more personalized experience. There we go again. It's exactly what we're looking for. A more personalized experience for the client by recommending those products and services in a chair or the treatment room, rather than upselling at the checkout. So as we said, we know what it's like. It can always be a little bit awkward trying to do it at the reception desk in front of other clients, other staff members. And as we said, they're thinking about getting back to their car. They're thinking about getting back to work. Let's do it while they're in the treatment room, while they're in the styling chair, where they're still in the experience mode. When a customer gets to the point of sale, the products will already be there waiting for them, providing a more premium experience. So again, we can talk about it in the treatment room. We can talk about it in the styling chair. When the client's ready to check out, those products can already be there. The front of house staff member can get those products ready. It's already added onto the bill. And of course, as well as being a faster and more seamless checkout experience, we're less likely to forget to add those products on. I'm sure we've all done it. We've been at the back wash, for instance, or we've been at the styling chair, and we spoke about adding on that Olaplex or that intense conditioning treatment. Then when we check the client out, we forget to add it onto the bill because it was done right at the beginning of the service. If we're doing this all through the cloud, we can grab a tablet, grab our mobile phone if applicable, add it onto the point of sale screen. It will add that much more personalized and seamless point of sale checkout experience. Okay, so what's so great about it? So of course, on top of all of that, avoid missing product sales, as we just said. So avoid missing those product sales by adding items onto the client's during the client's visit. Did you add on the services during your consultation? Make sure we update the point of sale transaction right from the chair, and never miss charging for an upsell again. Okay, so as I said, we know what it's like. We're busy, sometimes we forget. Okay, so the last thing we want to do is forget to add that on. So if you want to talk about this a little bit more, feel free to let myself or Amy know, or feel free to give our customer care team a call. But of course, if you've ever been on our masterclasses before, you know we have a very small PowerPoint introduction just to tease you into it. And then from there, we dive straight into the live demonstration. Now, if you want to try and replicate this side by side as I do it, that's perfectly fine. But like I said, the masterclass is always recorded. So you can always watch this back at a later date. And of course, if you do need any assistance, we're always there. And of course, please let myself and Amy know. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to open up an internet page and we're going to go to our online console. So I have opened up my Shortcuts online console. Now for today's masterclass, we're actually going to switch between 2 different website URLs. Now you might be thinking at the moment, oh, that sounds like a lot of work, Chris, but I promise you it's going to be nice, it's going to be easy, it's going to be really simple. So the first thing for this morning, ladies and gents, our first task together, we are going to set up the cloud appointment book, okay? We're going to give staff access. We're going to look at exactly how we can set it up. So there is actually 2 very handy and convenient ways to access our cloud appointment book. Now, as we said, all we require is that internet connection. So the first way to access our Shortcuts cloud appointment book is through the online console. Okay. Now, what you'll see in front of me here is the Shortcuts online console. Now, if you've never used this before, this is just a simple website URL, which is console.shortcutssoftware.com. Okay, so this is one of the first ways we can access our cloud through the online console. So the first way to access the cloud, in the top right-hand corner of our console, you will notice we have this icon in the top right-hand corner that says Shortcuts Cloud. And that can be used as a stepping stone for the first way to access our cloud appointment book. Now, as soon as we click onto that, that will open up our cloud appointment book. Okay, so that's the first way. The second way, as we said, the cloud appointment book only requires an internet connection. So with that being said, it is quite simply a website URL. So the second way to access our cloud appointment book is to type in the website URL, and that is POS for point of sale, pos.shortcutssoftware.com. That's all you need to type in on your internet browser. We always recommend using Google Chrome for something like this. So the second way to access it on any internet-enabled device is pos.shortcutssoftware.com. So two very convenient ways to access the cloud appointment book. Now you might be thinking, Chris, is this an app? Can it be used like an app? Do we have to type in this website every single time? Well, the answer to that is no, you don't have to keep typing the website URL. And I understand it might be quite time consuming to do this. So if you type this website URL, the pos.shortcutssoftware.com, into your website browser, you can add it to the home screen of your phone, your tablet, anything like that. So if you're doing this on an Apple device, down the bottom of your screen, you should see the Apple Share button, okay? And that is a square with an arrow facing upwards. If you tap onto that, you may just have to scroll left or right, but we're just looking for the icon with a plus sign that says Add to Home Screen. You can then rename it, and it will save this website onto the desktop of your mobile phone, onto your tablet. If you're using an Android device, such as a Samsung, again, once you've opened it up on your mobile phone or your tablet, in the top or the bottom right-hand corner, you'll often see 3 lines or 3 dots, okay? Again, we can tap onto that, we're looking to the plus sign that says Add to Home Screen. And again, you can rename it, and that will save it as a shortcut icon on your desktop of your mobile phone, which will function just like an app. Now, of course, when we open up the cloud appointment book, it will ask you for a username and a password to log in. Your credentials for this are exactly the same as your online console, what we started with just here. So the credentials are exactly the same, okay? Now, if you're stuck or you're not quite sure what these are, or you can't get logged in at this stage, not a problem. Please let myself or Amy know. We can always look into getting you set up and get the ball rolling, okay? But if you have access to the console, you should be able to log in to the cloud. So from here, we would typically say the people that have logged into the cloud at this stage are usually the managers, owners, directors, along that sort of line. So we are now in the cloud appointment book. We can now look to set the rest of our staff members up, okay? And you can give access to as many or as little staff members as you require. And we're going to do this through the cloud, okay? So in the top left-hand corner, you will notice we have a menu icon. And we're going to click onto the menu icon, and we're going to choose the second option down that says Employees and Rosters. Once we've selected Employees and Rosters, to the right of that, we have an icon that says Employees. Once we've clicked onto this, on the left-hand side, we will have a list of our staff members. Once we select the staff member, we can see down the center bottom of our screen, there's a little star, and it says Roles and Logins. Okay, so we're going to choose Roles and Login. And it's this one right down the bottom, just down here. So we're going to choose Roles and Logins. And this will give a staff member access. So in the top right, we're just going to toggle login access to yes. Now, underneath, we have a username and an email. Now, if you've logged into the online console before, you'll probably be familiar with the fact that your username is typically your email address, just to make things a little bit easier. So as a rule of thumb, you don't have to do this, but as a rule of thumb, when we set up your other staff members, we tend to say their username is their email address, okay? Just so everybody sort of has the same sort of credentials in their username, okay? But that's only a rule of thumb. You don't have to do that. Just as a handy tip, some email addresses that contain hyphens or underscores are sometimes not allowed, should we say. Sometimes the system doesn't quite like it. It can't quite recognize it. So if you ever do try and set up a staff member and you notice when you click the done button, it doesn't allow them. It says, the username is allowed, that kind of thing. Just simply give them a different username. That could be their first or their last name. But that's very few and far between. 99.9% of the time, the username can just be that particular staff member's email address. But as this is our Shortcuts Masterclass, we do like to try and cover everything for you this morning. So we're going to pop that particular staff member's email in. Okay, we pop that in for their username. Then underneath, you will also notice we have an email field. Now, for exactly the same, we do need to pop their email address in there. So why do we pop the email address in there? It's so the employee can be sent their username, they can be sent a random password, and of course, they will be sent a website URL to access the cloud. And of course, that is pos.shortcutsoftware.com. Okay, so essentially, we would usually mirror something like this. Then underneath, we have two role types. Now, these role types are very, 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 very similar to security in your main shortcut system. Essentially, it is a role type that will determine the level of access this staff member will have. So we have two role types by default. Okay, we have an employee role type and a site manager role type. Now, both of these role types, ladies and gents, will have their own default level of access, level of permission. But that level of access, that level of permission is totally configurable, okay? So what I'm about to run through now is the default level of permission, but it can be changed. We're going to talk about that in just a sec. So by default, an employee role will have access to their own column only. They'll only be able to edit their column, their details, during their working hours, their roster. Outside of their working hours, they will have what we call view mode only. And if you're joining us next week for our reports, they will have access to their own KPIs and their own performance summary only, not the business's, nobody else's. But that's default, okay? We can look at changing that in just a few moments. So then we have the site manager role. And again, by default, the site manager role's level of permission will give access to every single staff member. They will be able to see every staff member's column. They'll be able to both view and edit their column during and outside of the working hours, so essentially around the clock. They will have access to configurable items, such as what we're going through now, as well as all employee and business reports. But remember, those level of permissions we just spoke about there are completely configurable, which we're going to talk about in just a few moments. So at this stage, we would look to set this staff member up with the correct role type. So I would click onto employee, and then I would click done in the bottom right-hand corner. And login successfully created and an email will be sent. Now, as we said, when that staff member has been set up, they will be sent their username, which will typically be their email address, depending on how we just set it up. And they will be sent a random password. We would recommend straight away that employee logging into the cloud with their sort of existing password, but changing it. So you'll notice in the top right, once you've logged in, you'll get your profile avatar in the top right-hand corner. All you need to do is click onto that and then just do change password and set it something a little bit more memorable. Okay, so we've looked at accessing the cloud appointment, but we've looked at setting up staff members with the relevant role types. But what about if we wanted to change those role types? We spoke about those level of permissions. What about if we wanted to tweak it? It wasn't quite doing everything we needed it to. Well, we can do that. That's not a problem. So in the top left, we're going to click onto menu. And we're going to go down to General Settings. Once we've clicked onto General Settings, towards the right of this, you will have Roles. And on the left-hand side, you'll notice we have our two default role types. We have our employee and we have our site manager. If you wanted to tweak these role types, that's absolutely fine. But just be aware that if you've got multiple staff members under that particular role type, if you change the level of access for that particular role type, everybody under that role type will be sort of have the new levels of permission as well. So in a second, we can look at creating a brand new role type. So let's look at editing our existing role types first. So we've got employee, we've got site manager. And then as we scroll down, you can see those levels of permissions. And they're very convenient with a nice little tick next to it so we can see exactly the level of permission for the role type. But what about if we wanted to change it? So you'll notice we have the red word just to the left that says permissions. So to change the permissions, what we need to do is click the actual red word. We're not going to click the minimize button. We're going to click the red word. Okay, so we're going to click onto permissions, and this will give you your permission categories. And here's a case from here of expanding the category and just toggling yes to no and no to yes. So we can see I can now view the appointments of other users. I can create the appointments of other users. So all you would need to do, nice and simple, work through those toggles and just toggle yes to no or no to yes. Now, when you're happy with this, all we need to do in the bottom right-hand corner is simply click done to save those changes. And that will change the level of permission for that particular role type. But we've got two default role types. We've got site manager and we've got employee. But what about if we wanted to create our own one? Maybe one that has slightly more access than employee, but a little bit less access than that site manager. Something like head front of house, perhaps, or senior stylist. So down the bottom of our screen, we can see we've got this new button. It's right next to the heart with favorites. Very applicable with Valentine's Day around the corner. But we're going to click onto that new icon. We're going to click that plus sign with new. And we're going to create ourselves a brand new role type. I'm just going to call it Senior Director. There we go. And then underneath, we can scroll down and we can change those permissions. Now, because this is a brand new role type that we've created, you will need to go through and change all of the permissions because, of course, by default, we don't know whether this is going to be a very, very strict role type or a very, very lenient role type. So you'll notice as I've scrolled down on my permissions, everything is set to no. So it'll be totally up to yourselves to make this a completely custom bespoke role type. Then from here, nice and simple, you can also sort of promote or upgrade an existing employee to that new role type because maybe they've genuinely had a promotion in the salon and they need this new role type. Or from here as well, we can also create logins for that staff member as well from scratch. So I did show you the very first way to create your logins, but if you've just created a brand new role type, you can also create logins from here and it will take you through that process again. And that is it. So just to reiterate there, ladies and gents, we have looked at how we can access our cloud appointment book. We've looked at the website URL and how to save it. We've looked at setting up our staff member, giving them the relevant access, as well as changing that relevant access via the permissions and role type. And we finalized that there by creating our own brand new custom bespoke role type. So, of course, I feel you're itching to use this, as am I. We've set the cloud appointment book up. Our staff now have the correct access. So, of course, now it is a case of showing you just how simple but effective the cloud appointment book can be. So towards the top left-hand corner, we will click onto the appointments icon. We can see this on our top navigation bar, the second icon in. We're going to click onto appointments. Okay, so our cloud appointment book is a fully functioning appointment book. It synchronizes in real time. All we need is an internet connection. It will take into consideration any Fusion capabilities and any Fusion resources set up as well. So we don't need to worry about, be it double booked on our nail bars and treatment rooms and things like that. So it will take into consideration all of that. So let's give a layout to our Shortcuts Cloud Appointment Book. And of course, you'll notice straight away, it is not too dissimilar to our Fusion appointment book. So in the top left-hand corner, you will notice we have a calendar. It's currently Wednesday, the 8th of February. We can click onto our calendar. We can use the arrow keys at the top to move between the months. And down the bottom, you'll notice we have a very handy key for today. You'll notice it's highlighted in red just to make it nice and easy. And you can skip to any particular day, any particular month along the top. And at any point, you can skip back to today. Now, along the top, you'll notice we have our employees. It pulls through their profile avatars from Fusion, and they're in exactly the same order. So no changes there. Down the left-hand side, we have our appointment interval times. Again, this appointment book runs in 15-minute intervals. Down the bottom, you'll notice we have the same 5 buttons. We've got the Today button, day forward, day backward, and week backward. Now, depending on what device you're using this on, ladies and gents, if you are replicating this now, if you are doing this on a mobile phone, you may wish to just turn it to landscape mode. So you're sort of holding it in both hands, just so you get a clear view of the entire screen. And also 2 additions to the cloud appointment book, which some of you may have noticed. We have our hour marker. So we've got 9 a.m., 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. That just makes it that a little bit more convenient, a little bit easier when we're viewing this on a mobile phone. And of course, we also have this red line which runs through the day here. Again, just helping you out, making it a little bit more convenient when we're making an appointment on our mobile phone. This just helps us see exactly where we're up to in the day. So, of course, let's take a look at making an appointment. All we need to do is exactly the same we would in Fusion, is choose the relevant employee, and we click on the relevant time cell. A window will appear in the right-hand side of your screen as a slide-in panel, and we can search for our customers. Now, this can be a combination of a first name, a last name, a phone number, or an email. Underneath, we've got any recent customers, so we can see Amy was booked in for today. We can see any checked out customers and any remaining customers for today. So maybe a client is already booked in, but they're coming back later on for an additional service. Saves you searching for all of their information again. Down the bottom, you can also add a brand new client in. So again, the beauty of this is the reception desk is busy. A client walks through the door. The reception desk is busy. We can grab our tablet, grab our phones if applicable, and add that client into our database and, of course, the appointment book. And of course, if we're doing this from home, maybe you're sat at home and you want to block yourself out for a task. You can do that down the bottom as well. So that's akin to scheduling a task. But let's make an appointment. So I'm going to type in myself, click onto my name, and you can see it brings up my profile. Underneath, we can see any notes, so we can add any memo appointment notes in here. And underneath, we can also see my future appointments. As well, we can also add in any alerts. So again, if the client has lots of hair, has an allergy or something like that, we can add those alerts in. And it is now just a simple case of working through the button down the bottom. So we're going to click onto the next icon. We can search for service categories or search for services. We can view previous services to make it nice and quick and convenient, but we can also choose from our service categories as well. Underneath, we can see this is the employee. We can tick this box if it was a request, and we can see the total estimated amount. Now, the final step of this is, of course, to tag it, just like we did in our Fusion system. And we finalize it by clicking the Done button. So we can now see the appointment has been made. Now, you will notice in particular, this appointment has turned orange. That is just demonstrating that it is pulling through the capabilities to say my particular staff member, Bruno, only does beauty, nails and facials, but does not do gents haircuts. So we can see that exact same color legend there has appeared, the clash color of the beigey orange color. So some of the main features that we have in Fusion, of course, appear on our cloud appointment book. So most of you will probably be privy to the fact that we can drag an appointment round, or we can make the appointment longer and shorter. So if I was to place my cursor or my finger in the bottom right hand corner of the appointment book, you will notice I get the arrow facing upwards, which we can see just there. If I just move my finger, we can see we get the arrow. So if I place my finger or click with the left hand side of my mouse for a split second, I can drag the appointment down. And if I place my finger or my cursor in the top left-hand corner, and again place my finger for a split second, or click and drag using the left-hand side of my mouse, I can move this appointment around. And again, you'll notice, because it's taken into consideration those capabilities, it is letting me know Brit and Pink are not capable of doing the service, and we can see that there. So I can then pop it in with Leo just over here. So you can see we can move those appointments around and we can drag around. Now, some of you will have already noticed in Fusion, when we had our upgrade, we introduced a touch tip. Now, typically we would right click to open up our further appointment menu. But what we can do in the cloud is if we tap or click onto the appointment, we get the touch tip menu. Now, of course, if we're doing this on a phone or a tablet, we're not going to have a mouse plugged in. So there's going to be no right-click option, no right-click command. So all we do is we tap onto the appointment, which will bring up the touch tip menu just here. Exactly the same as it does in our 8.1 Fusion system. To the right of this touch tip menu, you will notice we have the 3 dots, the ellipsis. If we click onto these 3 dots here, this will bring up all of our further appointment options. So we can arrive the client, we can no-show the client, we can put them into review mode, we can cancel the client, SMS customer, which we're going to talk about in just a few moments, reschedule, rebook, change appointment. Now, one particular thing that I absolutely love, and I absolutely think it's fantastic being able to use it at the reception desk, is customer history. Now, we know what it's like. We capture those customer history visit notes. And then often we write them down. We wait at the reception desk to write those down. No need anymore. Let's think about the carbon footprint, everything like that. We can grab our phones, grab our tablets, open up the cloud. We can track all of those color customer visit history notes, beauty notes, color notes, treatment notes, anything from the customer. We can track all of that in the visit notes section here. Best thing about it as well, ladies and gents, you can update it and it will feed back to your main shortcut system. So if we go back to our appointments, now also as well, for some of you that are using the Fusion appointment diary and they like to filter the diary down, so maybe you're looking this on your mobile phone and you're thinking, oh, I've got a lot of appointments, a lot of employees, it's getting a bit difficult on my mobile phone. Well, what we can do is, some of you will be aware, in the Fusion system, there is a filter icon in the bottom left-hand corner, okay? Looks like a funnel, okay? It's in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the exact same thing in our cloud appointment book, but this time it's in the top left, and it's in the form of 3 triangles, or 3 lines, I should say, 3 lines of a triangle upside down. So we're going to click onto the filter. It's in the top left-hand corner here. And this is where we can start to filter down. So one of the most popular and one of the most common ways is to filter your employees via rostered on. That will essentially show you your staff members that are rostered on. So if I click onto that and click apply, you'll notice it is now only showing me my staff members that are rostered on. Again, if I just remove the filter, but to save me doing that, okay, save me having to keep clicking onto it, I go back to my filter, and this time I'm going to go to my levels, okay, such like your senior stylist and graduate stylist. What about if you wanted a way to save a filter that would only show senior stylist, and then you could filter to graduate stylist and flip between the two? So what we're going to do is we're going to click onto senior stylist here, just as an example, and then down the bottom, I'm going to click save. Just going to call it seniors. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to click Save and Apply. Okay, so you'll now see it has applied that filter and it has saved it. So in the top left, I can quickly filter, like flicking through the pages of a book. I can go back to all employees, but to save me having to configure that filter again, you'll notice to the right, I've saved the filter just towards the top right here, called Seniors, and it will take me back to that. So it's a way to save that filter just to flick between the two. Think of it almost as like bookmarking a filter on your cloud appointment book. A very, very handy tool. So what about the cloud upsell then? What about adding services and products into the point of sale screen? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tap onto my my lovely client here, Amy. I'm going to tap onto Amy and I'm going to arrive her. Okay, so you can see it's still got the same color legend. Everything is exactly the same there. Okay. So what we can now do is we can tap again onto our client, and down the bottom we have the checkout icon. This will take you to the point of sale screen at the top of your cloud appointment book. You can see here who the employee is and what the sale item is, but on the left hand side we can look at adding extra services in if applicable, and we can also look at adding in a product. So you can see the comfortability of the beauty room or the treatment room, or while the client is lounging in the styling chair, we can be adding on those extra services. We can be talking about those products, getting the point of sale screen, getting the bill essentially ready for when they check out. So Amy's really treating herself today. She's added on a couple of extra services and a boost powder. Why not? Excellent stuff. So that point of sale screen is now ready for when the client is checking out. No need to talk about adding on and remembering those extra products, those extra services. It is all ready. And we did it all from the comfortability of the chair or the treatment room. And that, ladies and gents, is our cloud appointment book. Now, as you can see, it is very, very simple to use. It's very, very easy to use. We can get it set up. We did that in about 30 minutes, and we ran through exactly how to use our cloud appointment book. Okay, so hopefully everyone's loving that. You're all super duper excited to get ready with that. If you do have any questions, please feel free to drop those across to Amy now if you want to ask any questions. If not, we will have a quick session, a quick recap session at the end for the questions. But from now, what I'm going to do, ladies and gents, is sticking with the theme of cloud. I'm going to move us on to cloud-based marketing. Okay, and to do this, we're going to revert right back to the beginning, and we're going to open up our Shortcuts online console. Okay, now why do we do this if we've already got the cloud open, I hear you ask? Well, there's a few things we just need to check in the background. Some of you may have already done this, and if you have, that's not a problem whatsoever. Okay, there's a few things we just need to do in the background to make sure our cloud appointment campaigns are as up to date and as beautiful as possible. So in our console, we're going to choose Site Settings. It will typically be your third tab, your third icon down on the left-hand side, and we're going to choose Site Settings. Okay, then as we scroll down, I just want to make sure, went up and down there. Just want to make sure we've got our email address in, we've got our website, we've got our Facebook, we've got our Instagram, we've got all of those social media links in now. Why do we need these social media links in there, I hear you ask? Well, of course, if you were on our modern online booking masterclass yesterday, it pulls through to our modern online booking. It pulls through to our Salon mobile guest app. And of course, you've guessed it, it pulls through to our email campaigns. So with the shortcuts links, or sorry, not with the shortcuts links, you can put shortcuts links in there if you want to. I do apologize. With your social media links, they do need to be the full link, the full HTTP, full HTTPS. Does need to be the full link because it will work as a link. So we're going to make sure we've got those social media links in. And then we're also going to scroll down and just make sure you've got your logo updated as well. Again, if you were on my masterclass yesterday, these will most likely already be updated. But again, we want our logo to be updated in there because that will pull through automatically to our email campaigns. So we've got our logo and our social media links as well. And then all we do on the right-hand side, we just click on to save. So from there, that's pretty much all the background work we needed to do. From there, we can go straight back to our cloud appointment book. Now, of course, by now, we know there are two ways to open the cloud appointment book. We can use the console in the top right-hand corner as a stepping stone, or of course, absolutely, we can type in that website URL, the pos.shortcutssoftware.com. At the top of the screen, you will notice the final icon to the right-hand side is messages, okay? That is where our messages, that is where our marketing is all done through. So we're now going to click onto messages. So on the left-hand side, you will see we have lots of different types of campaigns. We have message all clients, targeted campaign, happy birthday. So what we have categorized is two types of campaign, okay? We have a one-time campaign and we have our ongoing campaigns. One time basically means they are sent out purely the once, and ongoing means they are sent out continually, okay? There are lots of different variations of the campaign within those two different types, okay? Now for this morning, ladies and gents, they are very, very simple to get set up. I'm confident everyone watching and listening today will be perfectly fine. So I'm not going to go through all of the campaigns. I'm just going to go through one or two. But I promise you, ladies and gents, they are very, very simple to set up. They all open up in exactly the same way. It's only the send schedule that will change, okay? So let's take a look at that now. So I'm going to look at one of our firm favorites. It's one I call a bread and butter one. It's one we should all be using. It's a happy birthday campaign. So we're going to click onto happy birthday. At the top, we've got our campaign name, which is happy birthday. And we've got a description. This is an ongoing message to customers on their birthday. Now, underneath, as I spoke about, we've got the send schedule. This message will be sent at 9 a.m. each day to all clients who are having a birthday. Underneath, we can filter the gender just here if we need to. And underneath, we've got the send time. Now, just to let you know, the send time is configurable, but it will only go on the hour or half past the hour. So 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, and so forth. If you do adjust it to something like 10:15, it will just round it up for you. Now, all of these campaigns can be sent out via email and SMS, or both if you want to do them both together. So for instance, if I go down to the bottom and click onto email, you will notice we have our display logo. Now that display logo will of course pull through automatically from our site settings of the online console where we were just a few moments ago. Now also we have our display image. Now a display image is basically adding a photograph into this campaign to give it that little bit extra, make it look a little bit more attractive. So all you would need to do is simply tick the box and click on to choose file. Now for this, you can take your own photograph, or perhaps you can grab one from Google or Shutterstock, as long as, of course, there are no copyright laws. So all we would do is simply click on to choose file and search for the relevant image. So I've uploaded an image there, which we'll see in just a sec on our preview. So as we scroll down, we've got ourselves a subject. This is what the client will see as the tagline of the email. So we've got happy birthday customer first name. Now this is all being done for you, and it's what we refer to as a super simple editor, because you'll notice in just a few moments, we can get this campaign activated with very little work. So underneath we have ourselves our subject. So happy birthday customer first name. Now, anything in these double brackets is what we refer to as a personalized field, okay? And we can see on the right-hand side, we've got those fields. That basically means it brings that information through from shortcuts automatically, so we don't need to write anything out. And then underneath, we've got the body of the email. Hi, customer first name. From all of us here at the Hair and Beauty Boutique, we wish you a happy birthday. To help you celebrate, we thought we would send you a little special birthday present, a voucher to use at your next appointment. Now, this is all completely configurable, but of course, we've added this in for you just to make life a little bit easier for you. Now, as we scroll down, we've got an offer box, okay? And this is just a simple offer box here. We've got the offer text, so we're going to be offering a free treatment, okay? Then underneath, we have a discount code. Now, if you are giving money away or anything away on your cloud-based marketing campaigns, I would always recommend assigning it to a discount code. That is so you can track how well these campaigns are doing for you. You could, of course, just discount the service at the point of sale screen by £5 or £10, whichever it may be, but then we've got no way of tracking it. We've got no way of tracking our return on investment. So we would always create the discount code. That discount code is a discount reason set up in your Shortcuts Fusion system, which I will demonstrate at the very end, okay? So you would create those discount reasons in Fusion, and they will feed through here all automatically. And we would add our terms and conditions in and so forth. Underneath, we've got a Book Now button. Now, we don't need to add the link in or do anything like that at all. The link will be provided all automatically. You can see we've got ourselves a beautiful Book Now button. Now, if you're to cross this box down and you think, oh, actually, I do want the Book Now button, all you need to do is click Add Book Button or the plus sign in the right-hand side. And it brings it back. If you're using the self-check-in, is exactly the same underneath. Now, underneath, we have a sign-off option, which is essentially like a signature towards the bottom. So, for instance, underneath, I might wish to add in my business name and then my business email. Just adds a nice little signature. It's a great way to sign the email off at the bottom. It's not essentially you signing it off to say, yep, I'm happy with that. It's a lovely little signature you can pop down the bottom. Then underneath, you can simply reset this back to a default template if you've made sort of any, errors or mistakes. You just think, I just want it to go back to how it was. I'm not quite happy with that. So if you want to see how this looks, you'll notice we've got an option that says preview. So we can click on to preview. And then you'll notice we've got our logo at the top there. That all pulls through automatically. There's the image I uploaded at the top. That's my display image. And then underneath, we've got the body of the email. There's my free treatment offer text. There's my online booking button. And underneath, there's my social media links and my website. And of course, clients can unsubscribe from these emails if they wish to. So we can see there, ladies and gents, in just a couple of moments, we can get this set up and ready to be activated. So how do we activate it? Just to the right-hand side, there's a very handy and convenient icon that says activate. Once we do activate it, this icon here simply changes to deactivate. So it's the same button to activate and deactivate. Now, one thing I would always recommend, we've looked at the preview, but I would always recommend sending yourself a test just to make sure everything is absolutely 100% correct. Those personalized fields are spelled correctly. Everything is correct. So you would click on to send test and send yourself an email test. Now, just as a handy tip, ladies and gents, if you do send yourself a test, it will pull through a random appointment date and a random appointment time. And also at the top, it usually says something along the lines of "Hi, John" or "Dear John." That is just simply proving and demonstrating that the personalized fields are working correctly. It's not an error or you've done something wrong if it does say that. So please don't be alarmed if you do send yourself a test and you get something along those lines there. So that's our email campaign. But what about a text message campaign? So underneath, we can click on to SMS. And you'll notice we've got the body of the text message here. Now, one thing to always bear in mind, ladies and gents, when you do this is the amount of characters used to keep it within the one message bracket. It's 138 characters. But what you can do is, I know a lot of people at this stage, they say, oh, you know, I don't have many email addresses. I've got more phone numbers than I do email addresses. Not a problem. And you might be worried about sending out too many text messages. You can always combine the two. So you'll notice the send schedule here for the SMS can be changed from always to only when no email will be sent. So if you activate your emails and 90% of your clients have email addresses, or 90% of your clients don't have email addresses, they will be then sent an SMS. They won't be sent duplicates, okay? So it's a way to bridge the gap there. It's a very, very handy send option to have. Particularly, I was speaking with quite a few people yesterday and they absolutely love that. It's a great option to use. And that is how we can set up a campaign. So we did that in less than 10 minutes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to our message type in the top left and we're going to have a look at some of our other campaigns. So we've got our appointment acknowledgement, a firm favorite of mine and loads of our customers. The appointment acknowledgement essentially is a booking confirmation, okay? Now this will be whether it was done over the phone, face to face, or online as well. So if you are using our booking confirmation emails, this one will supersede that, okay? So your clients won't receive two confirmation emails when they book online. This will be the firm favorite, okay? So you'll notice we've got the send schedule, okay? Now this can be sent anywhere from minutes, hours, and days. The minimum is 30 minutes. After an appointment is not only created, but changed, okay? Now, don't worry if you're looking at this thinking, oh, I make an appointment and then I drag the appointment up and down, or maybe I booked it in at 3 and then, oh, should it have been 3:15? No, it was 3 and we move it around. We thought of that, please don't worry. There is actually a 4-minute grace window when you make an appointment to make those changes, okay? So if you accidentally book it in at 3 and then you accidentally move to 3:15 and then you second guess yourself and move it back to 3 and then you realize it was 3:15. There's that 3-minute grace window to make those kind of changes before the appointment acknowledgement is triggered. And just to let you know on the back of that, it is only if you change the start time, okay? Regardless if you make the appointment longer and shorter or anything like that, it's only if you adjust the start time that it will be triggered. You're free to make the appointment longer and shorter if necessary. Okay, so I love the appointment acknowledgement. I think it's fantastic. I think everyone should be getting involved in that. And again, underneath is exactly the same setup. Now, you will notice in particular with this one, we've helped you out even further with this one. That's what I love about it. The book now button, we've removed from this one because this is an appointment acknowledgement. It's a booking confirmation. They've already made the appointment. So essentially, they don't need a book now button to make another one. But hey, no problem if you do want to add it in. you can simply click the Add Book button and bring it back. And again, exactly the same. You'll notice we've not added in an offer to get the ball rolling. Of course, the client has just made an appointment, probably on the pretense of paying full price. So we don't want to go adding an offer in. But again, hey, if you do want to, the Add Offer button is there. We're going to go back to our menu. Oh, sorry, we're going to go back to our messages, and we're going to look at the menu option of our messages. So another one which I absolutely love is this one down here, pre-arrival instructions. Now, I use this so many times, ladies and gents, when coronavirus, when we came out of lockdown. It's a fantastic way to let clients know further instructions before they arrive. But in particular, the reason, ladies and gents, I'm going to show you this one is this can be used in combination, in conjunction with another feature that we have through the cloud. Okay, so I'm going to click onto my pre-arrival instructions. And you can see send instructions to a client before their visit. Now, as we go down, you can pop in the body of your email. Now, by default, this often says, please await further instructions before arriving. Somebody's been playing around with this test system. It's not a problem, but if you want to open it up on yours, you will often find that a body of this says, please await further instructions, which of course does beg the question, what are these further instructions? And if we're waiting for them, where do they come from? So there's two things you can do here, ladies and gents, okay? The first way is you could delete that wording out and just pop your pre-arrival instructions in here. So you could say, you know, please wear a mask, arrive alone, everything like that. You could still pop those pre-arrival instructions in there. But as I said, by default, the body of the email will say, please await further instructions from our team, okay? So as we said, what are these further instructions? And most importantly, where are they going to come from? So what we could do is we can go back to our appointment diary. And you may remember when I tapped on my appointment, there was 3 dots and we had an option that said SMS customer. And these are what we call ad hoc text messages through the cloud only. So we could send a text message through the cloud, but you'll notice at the top, we have a drop down arrow that says, please come to the front desk or we are running late. So you can use these ad hoc text messages here in conjunction with your pre-arrival messages. So essentially what that means is the client would have been sent those pre-arrival campaigns, those pre-arrival messages 24 hours before, 48 hours before, whichever it may be. So they're prepped and primed, ready, waiting for those instructions. And then 5 or 10 minutes before they're due in, tap on the cloud and send that ad hoc text message. Okay, it's an absolutely fantastic way to just add that little bit extra communication onto your clients. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our messages at the top, and this time I'm going to look at our one-time marketing campaigns. So you'll notice we have message all clients. So I'm going to click onto message all clients, and this is typically used for our seasonal, so Valentine's Day, Christmas, you know, New Year, Father's Day, Mother's Day, things like that, a little bit more seasonal, okay? And as the name suggests, message all clients will go to all clients in your database. Now, of course, you can filter it for female and male at the top there. That's not a problem. You can do that. And then underneath, you can do it via email or text message as well. But this one in particular, ladies and gents, this will go to all customers in your database. So what about them if we wanted to do a targeted campaign? So what about if we wanted to send it to a few select clients? We didn't want to send it to all of our customers. We just wanted to send it to a few select ones. And that is where our targeted campaign will come into play. I'm going to show you that just now. So on the left-hand side, we have our targeted campaign. At the top, you can add in the campaign name. So maybe this would be, you know, always visits for colors, never cuts, all sorts of things like that. Then underneath, we can change the send time, the send date, and you'll notice we have our recipients. So this is a targeted campaign where it's not going to go to all of our customers. we are going to target our customers, okay? And you'll notice there is a drop-down list. We've got use imported customer list or appointments within a date range. The appointments within a date range was an absolutely fantastic tool when we came out of lockdown, because understandably, we probably had quite a few customers that were booked in when we went into lockdown, and we wanted to sort of prioritize those customers first, okay? So that's a great way to do that, but we're going to look at using our imported customer list, okay? So it says upload exported list from Fusion. So what we would need to do is create a list of clients in our Shortcuts Fusion system, okay? And then you would click on choose file and upload it from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm now just going to very quickly open up my Shortcuts Fusion system, and we're going to look at creating a client list that can be exported out. Okay, so as we look at our Shortcuts Fusion system, I'm just going to pop my pin in. Oh, screen grab's just gone a little bit funny there. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to refresh that. And just while I just wait for that to load, if anyone just has any questions just while we get to that, feel free to drop those across now. I'm just going to quickly refresh my Shortcuts page there, and we should be good to go just because I'm dialing into. Excellent stuff. Perfect. There we go. So Shortcuts has just refreshed ourselves there. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at creating a client list, and we're going to export this client list out. Okay. So to do this, on the right hand side of our navigation bar, we're going to click onto Tools. And then on the right hand side from there, we're going to choose the third option down, and we're going to choose Marketing. And this is a way to filter our clients down. Now, there's lots of different ways to do this. There's no sort of one size fits all way to do this, okay? So what we're going to do is on the left-hand side, we're going to filter by clicking onto the clients icon. And you can see we can filter via town if applicable. You can do it via preferred employee. Now, you may or may not be aware, in Shortcuts, once a client has seen a staff member 3 or more times in a row, they are defaulted to their preferred employee. So maybe you've got a staff member going on maternity leave and you want to target all of that staff member's clients to say, look, you know, such and such is going on to maternity leave, come back and visit one of our other stylists or therapists. Hopefully this won't happen, but you may have a particularly popular staff member that is left and you want to ensure that all of their customers, shall we say, continue coming back to you. You can also target via a specific club, such as a loyalty program, if you want to discuss that, you know, say about spending points, or if you're changing the terms and conditions or anything like that, that can all be done. You can also do via non-returning, new clients and clients who refer. But just to let you know, those 3 that we just spoke about there have already been set up in cloud-based marketing for you. Towards the bottom, we've got our services frequency and monetary value spent on those services, as well as our products. But what about, and this is one thing I absolutely love doing, have a play around with this and see what works best for you. Maybe you're a hair and beauty salon and you're thinking to yourself, I want to target my clients that only visit me for hair, and I want them to know that we do beauty as well. So you'll notice at the top of the screen, we've got services done, services not done, products purchased, products not purchased. And there's a couple of different ways we can do this. So perhaps you've got a brand new product being launched and it's an additional product to a range that is already there. So maybe we've got the curly hair shampoo and they've just introduced a curly hair conditioner. What you can do is you can target all of your customers that have purchased that product and then say, we're launching this brand new product, we think you'd be perfect for it. You can do that via company. So you could then say, I've got my customers that only purchase L'Oreal, but not Kerastars. Of course, there are other brands available. You can do it for specific lines. So maybe you're looking at the Sun range and then the Curl range, things like that. But what about our services? What about if we want to target and filter down our clients that have always visited for color, but never a cut? So that's really vague, really sort of broad, should we say. They've always visited for any color, but they've never visited for a cut. Okay. So what we could do is at the top here, you've got your service categories. So you've got our service report categories here. So if we click onto this here for services done, and we could say they've always visited for color, and that'll be any color, root tints, highlights, anything like that. But they've never visited for a styling service. That can be, you know, blow dries, cuts and blow dries, anything like that. But of course, that's quite broad, okay? You can be really specific as well. So what you could do is you could delete these out, and you could then say you've always visited for a root tint, but never a full head tint. Or you've always visited for a mini manicure, but never a full gel and polish. It's a great way to try and organically upsell. So to do this, at the top of the screen, we're going to click Services, and we can choose our specific service. So we could then say they've always had a tint regrowth, and they've never had a tint full head. Now, of course, the more specific you are, the chances of getting slightly less clients than if you were to do the whole service category are slightly higher, but that's entirely up to you. Have a play around with it. Now, a firm favorite of mine is to do a combination of two. So for instance, I'm going to say at the top for my service categories, I'm going to choose color. Now, again, that can be your root tints, your half head of highlights, your full head of highlights. That will be any one color service within that category. But then underneath, I'm going to say services not done, and I'm going to choose a specific service, and I'm going to say it's an intense treatment. Now, a lot of us do offer color treatments, and we often charge £20 or £30. Doing this, we could target all of our clients that have visited for a color service, but they've never had a treatment involved. Okay, and it's a great way. Create a campaign, nice bit of advertising saying, did you know our special shortcuts emulsion treatment will prolong the life of the color, you know, helps the color lift up to 3 levels more, anything like that. Add that all in, and then we can say it's usually £30, but with this offer, as you've never had it before, we're doing it at £25 or £27, whatever you feel is applicable based on your demographic clientele. So once we finish targeting, using our services or our products to target, we now need to compute this list of clients. We need to see how many clients appear in this targeted database. So just to recap, I'm targeting my clients that have always had a color service, and that's any color service, but they've never had an emulsion treatment. So down the bottom, we have a compute button. Okay. Now I may not get many clients because of course I'm using a test system for this, but let's see. So we'd click onto compute, and it will always show if there's any clients that have opted out for GDPR. Okay. So there's my list of clients there. That is my list of clients that have visited for any color service, but they've not had a special emulsion treatment. Now, on the right-hand side, the first thing we're going to look at is our results, because of course we want to see whether it is going to be worth our while. So you can see at face value, I've got 47 customers, 47 clients that have visited me for any color service, but they've never been in for an emulsion treatment. Now, at this stage, I might think, it's not a great deal of customers, but on the flip side, I'm happy that potentially all of my staff are recommending the treatment in this particular instance. But what I would also do is I would go through and exclude certain parameters of my database here. So I'm going to send this out via email. So I want to exclude my customers that do not have an email on file. Otherwise, it's just going to bounce back and it's going to throw my figures out. So you'll notice that's dropped down to 7. I've lost 40 customers. You may also wish to exclude customers that have an existing appointment, and of course, the ones that have opted out of marketing. You will need to remove those from this client list here. It won't delete them from the database, it will just remove them from this list. So once you've done all the exclusions you need to do, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to click on to save. And the 2 things we're going to do is we are going to rename the client list. And then from there, we're going to click on to browse. Okay. So we're going to rename the client list. So this could be Always visited for color, no treatments. It's all for your benefit. So we're going to rename the client list, and then we're going to click the browse button, and we're going to choose a location to save this document to. So essentially what we're doing here is saving a client list in a text file. Okay, you'll notice it saves it in a folder, in a folder, in a folder, within a folder. So for here, to give you a handy shortcuts top tip, I would save it perhaps in a private folder on your desktop or your documents, okay? But somewhere where it's not going to be found by people you don't want to find it, but of course somewhere where you're going to be able to find it as well, somewhere nice and safe and secure. So once we've saved that client list, we then need to upload it into our cloud-based marketing. So from there, we just simply open up our cloud-based marketing. We click on to choose a file, upload that text file we just saved into our documents or our desktop. And then from there, we could go ahead and create the email campaign. I would always recommend creating the list first before you spend ages creating a beautiful campaign. Just as you saw in the case of mine, it was only going to go to 7 customers. So create the client list first and then spend your time creating the campaign. And then, of course, if you wish to add an offer in, always remember to add the discount code. Now, remember, those discount codes are discount reasons set up in the configuration of your Shortcuts Fusion system. Now, if you're not quite sure how to do that, I will give a quick demonstration how to do that now. So again, I'm going to open up my Shortcuts Fusion system, and to create a discount reason or a discount code that will feed through from your Fusion system to your cloud, on the right-hand side of the navigation bar, we click onto Setup. We then click onto Configuration. And then on the left-hand side, we're going to choose the third option down for discounts. We would then click onto the new icon and create our discount code, our discount reason. We would then click Done. To the right, you would add in the discount amount. So currently there's going to be no default. You can add in a fixed amount if it's going to be a monetary value, or you can add in a percentage. Now, just as you're looking at this, you might think, oh, what about if I wanted to do a 75% discount? You'll notice that, of course, isn't there. We can add that in. That's no problem whatsoever. We would just click Add Default in the top right-hand corner, and we can add that one in. And then underneath, you can also drill it right down to give you a bit of a safety net, just to say what this discount can be applied to. Can it be applied to products, services, or sundry and gift certificates? I'm going to say, of course, this can only be used on my services. So that just gives you a bit of a safety net. It stops it accidentally being used on products. And then underneath that, to further secure it down, the default amount, which I've said is 75%, the default amount cannot be changed at point of sale. That basically means it will be a firm 75%. It cannot be changed to 80 or 100%. We would then click Save, click Done, give a quick restart to your Shortcuts system, go straight back to our cloud appointment book, and add it in the discount code there. It may take 5 or 10 minutes just to pull through into the discount code option. You are then ready to activate your campaign. Now, the reason we do that, again, just to reiterate, is so we can track it on your return on investment. So join us next week. We'll be running through our cloud reporting and our Fusion reporting, where we will look at our targets in the cloud, as well as our return on investment, to see exactly how well this campaign was done. And that is it. I was a little bit over the hour mark there. I do apologize. I just wanted to get that last targeted marketing in there. So apologies if you have got to rush off in just a few moments, but there will be a recording for it. So thank you ever so much for joining. If you do have any questions, please feel free to drop those in the chat box, or if you do want to unmute yourself, of course, we welcome that. Please feel free to chat to myself and Amy. If not, hopefully you've enjoyed it. And of course, I have answered all of the questions throughout. Just while you do think of the questions, we are going to be running these masterclasses throughout February, March, and moving forward. We're going to be changing the date, the time up. So if you know of other people, or if you know of other staff members that want to join us, do please let us know. But yeah, thank you ever so much for joining. If you do have any questions, please feel free to drop those across now. Lovely stuff. Thank you. Excellent stuff. Perfect. Cool. So no questions for today. That's not a problem. If you'd rather email us afterwards, you can do. Feel free to email us. But I always hope that if in this instance there was no questions, hopefully we have been able to answer all of your questions. It's always lovely having everyone on board. Hopefully, I know I speak to a lot of you. And if you're new to joining us today as well, please do join us moving forward. And we've got lots of masterclasses, lots of new things coming out, lots of new things to talk about. So please do always join us for that. So all that's left for me to say is thank you ever so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we shall speak to you all again soon. Thank you ever so much. Bye-bye for now.